Scandinavian countries and Nordic countries. Like, do you understand the difference?
Nordic is like Norway, right? Finland, like they're further north, right? Yeah.
This is bullshit. What kind of nonsense?
You say to your daughter or whatever, trying to explain that, people can't just walk around shirtless in public.
So you say I'm indecent, is it? Huh?
I'm saying they have young minds, their prefrontal cortexes are not developed.
Your dog, every time come by, I think they pee in front of my house. No?
You got evidence? You bring CCTV?
You bring your report, you bring your... If you love this podcast, you probably enjoy deep conversations about meaningful topics. Now, imagine a much more personal podcast about someone special in your life. One that captures heartfelt stories and memories about them. Well, that's exactly what we do at Folklory, our audio service. Here's how it works. You tell us who the podcast is for, and we'll set up a 30-minute phone call with someone who has great stories to share about them. It could be you, a family member, or a close friend. We'll handle the interview, and within a week, you'll receive a beautifully crafted, studio-quality podcast to cherish forever. And trust us, it's a gift like no other. Just ask Brandon Lee, who surprised his wife with a Folklory for Valentine's Day. He said she loved it, said it was the best gift ever, and she has gotten some pretty good gifts before. So if you'd like to create something special too, check us out at folklory.com. The link is in the show notes, and we'd love to chat. And now, on to the podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
How's life, man? How's the week been, man?
Exciting week. I think last week we, had a bunch of banger episodes come out on the podcast, and had Hazel Pua on, and also more recently had Gianni Putticherry on as well. Can sense it, right? The politicians are all coming out in full force.
And I mean, if all goes well, next few weeks gonna have even more.
Yeah. If all goes well.
Yeah, if all goes well.
Yeah.
But yeah, exciting times.
Does it explain why your hair is also so ruffled? Because you're like so excited and everything.
No, because now my hair is in this weird state, right? Where it's long enough that if I comb it up, it looks damn puffy.
Okay.
Like, our live show?
Yeah.
That was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Right? I looked at the footage, I was like, what the hell is going on in my hair?
Yeah.
So now it's long enough that if it stands up, it looks weird. But coming down, it covers my big forehead. So it's something like, it's easier to that one and just see lah.
Someone said that you're taking style notes from Boris Johnson now.
Hey, whoever said that, come on, man. There's so many other people to say I'm taking style notes from. Boris Johnson not being one of them lah.
Yes.
But I don't blame them for saying that lah.
Yeah, correct.
So it's experimental lah, Terrence.
Experimental. Work in progress lah.
Work in progress.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to try like a new look also?
I feel like I already scratched that itch a few years ago with the long hair already. That was, I think, probably the one time in my life I'll do it lah. Other than that, no more.
But long hair is just one hairstyle.
Correct.
You go back to your Armani days,
Armani, yeah. No, now it's the mullets and all the in things, right? The
Still,
young people. Yeah, young people. The mullets and all those different bowl haircuts and all.
With the mullets,
yeah. But I think the one you really need the elixir of youth. Your skin needs to be like supple and bounces.
No white beard
when you got
thing.
a beard, white hair, and your skin is pockmarked and everything because of age. You're trying those hairstyles that makes you look like desperate, like you're clinging on to something.
I guess because, like if you're young doing that, you know that you're not holding on to like the 80s.
Exactly.
But if you're older and doing that, people can look at me and be like, dude, just the 80s are gone,
Yeah, exactly. Stop clinging on to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But who knows?
Who knows?
It's a dynamic year.
Yeah. A lot of changes all the time.
A lot of changes,
Yeah, correct.
So, yeah lah. But, today we'll get into that. But exciting times. It's nice to actually have a breather to, not talk about stuff that is that hard hitting or anything,
Yeah, I would say that's the special thing about Yala Bala, right? And not tooting our own horn, but the fact that, yes, we have guests come on, but actually, if you think about resetting your palate, between courses at a omakase or what, you always need to that little lime thing to reset your palate, right?
Oh yeah.
We have that because like this, just the two of us, this podcast, that's the way we reset our palate. But in just resetting our palate, we also sort of just step back from the, we interviewed this person, interviewed that person, from that delusions of grandeur that sometimes you get from meeting important people. And just comes down to two of us and we look at each other like, oh, what's going on today? We're like, what? And it reflects in the topic sometimes.
The current zeitgeist, you know what is gripping the nation today. And sometimes maybe it's like an extension of how people are feeling. You know, it's Friday.
Yeah.
You know, like, do you really want to talk about something intense that happened at the meet the people session?
Correct. Yeah.
Even though that did happen end of last week,
Yeah. So that's why I'm just saying that in the sense that I think Yalaba is like an omakase, right?
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of different courses, and sometimes once in a while you need that palate cleanser. It's not we're not hitting you with like char kway teow, like food taste bombs every day, right?
Omakase. I like it. The omakase for your ear. Omakase for your ear.
Exactly.
Ear and mind, lah.
Yeah, actually, it's a lot classier than saying year 6. I remember.
You always.
I was bringing up them inappropriate
I don't think you say much on the podcast, but whenever we're talking with partners and clients or people who are interested in podcasts, Terrence will always be like, your voice was like ear sexy. Terrence, can you just know the time and place, man?
It's a test.
So what is the phrase you say? It's like having sex with your ear. No,
it's like ear sex.
Ear sex, not sex with your ear. That was very different.
Yeah, but I mean, people could see it wrongly, right? And
ear sex.
Mistake that I'm saying some kind of fetish. I'm talking about some kind of fetish.
So that is something also in 2025. We're no longer ear sex. We are omakase for your ear.
Yeah, omakase for your ear versus ear sex.
Ear sex, just in the ear. Fuck omakase for the ear.
Correct. But yes, but before we get into the first course of omakase, what do we always tell people?
That if you do enjoy, the dishes we serve up, it'd be great if you could follow us on social media. So that's Instagram, TikTok, but also Spotify and YouTube. You can follow us there. And if you're on Spotify, just leave us a rating because that always helps push us up the algorithm. And if you want to work with us,
please email us at at contact@ministryoffunny.com or just check out our website at ministryoffunny.com.
Hell yes, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so first piece of news.
Singapore, we have fallen down the rankings, man.
Terrible.
And
the rankings that we have fallen down is the ranking for happiness. Because in a recent World Happiness Report released by Gallup, we got knocked off our top spot in Asia. And we are now 34th.
Yes.
Compared to 29th in the last year's ranking in 2020. So in 2023, we were 30th. And then now we are 34th.
Yes.
So this is for the year 2024.
Yeah.
And I mean, the report, it's online. It's 260 pages, which we downloaded and went through. And interesting.
Yeah.
But what made you want to talk about this, Terrence?
It's always interesting, right? Like seeing how happy we are in Singapore relative to other people in the world. So it kind of tells you something about how Singaporeans are feeling, especially going into an election year as well, right? What the mood on the ground is. Because I think the interesting thing is the fact that the US is at its lowest in terms of happiness right now, which kind of corroborates a lot of pessimism that people outside of the US feel about where the US is going, right?
Yeah.
So, does it corroborate with what you're feeling in Singapore as well when you first saw this headline?
Because it's our lowest score in almost a decade. I think in 2019 and 2020, we were in the 30th, almost 30. We were 34th also. So in 2015, we were 24th to 26th, among highest in Asia.
Yeah.
2020, pre-COVID, was when we ranked top in Asia, but slipped globally. So I guess the whole of Asia was not happy. But now we're at 34th, and the highest in Asia is now Taiwan, which is 29.
Yeah.
And you asked me whether it corroborates. I wouldn't corroborating with what I'm feeling versus corroborating with what I think the general sentiment is. I think it's kind of different because if it's me, then also, personal milestones, personal life stuff. So I would push that aside.
Yeah.
But it feels like it makes sense given how the sentiment in Singapore seems to be.
You're looking at macroeconomic factors and things like that.
I guess so. And just generally, we do a podcast that covers current affairs and what the sentiment is online, offline, interviewing people. Feels like it makes sense.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, all the headliner stuff that we talk about on this podcast.
Yeah.
Cost of living, stress in our education system, Things like that. I think that all matters, right? And also, one thing is like connection between people, especially now that, we're much more on social media and all these things. All these are things that we talked about before, and it generally points in a direction like away from at least these measures of happiness that they list here.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean the measures of happiness that you mentioned, the key factors that were used. It was used the Cantril ladder, which is like a universal scale. And the key factors are the GDP per capita, the social support, healthy life expectancy, freedom to make life choices, generosity, and perceptions of corruption. And I mean, there were a lot of things that came about from their report. I think the main thing is, caring is a big part of the theme of this year's report.
Yeah.
They start off their preamble with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, like what you said, you look at across all those indicators, right? It feels like, you can imagine asking this generic Singaporean, GDP per capita, yeah, it's getting higher and all, but social support, do you feel like you got more friends?
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's more resources within the people you know to tap on for help?
Yeah.
Healthy life expectancy, again, is like, okay, but medical costs are so expensive. Freedom to make life choices, I would say, I mean, like, thankfully, like, we are pro-choice and stuff like that, so it's not like what's happening in the US. But freedom and Singapore normally a touchy pairing of words.
Yeah.
Generosity, I think there is a lot more cynicism and pessimism.
But generosity is just purely about whether you've donated money in the past month. Is the measure.
Correct. But there's also, I mean, that I don't know where it's classified under these 6, but there's that thing that measures, your expectations of benevolence. Like if someone drops a wallet, how likely is it you think that it'll be returned?
Yeah.
I mean, globally, I think people are more pessimistic than reality, which is a nice thing. That basically, when wallets were dropped in the street by researchers, the proportion of return wallets was far higher than people expected, and that's global.
Yeah.
But in Singapore, I can imagine people being more cynical of that.
Yeah.
Perceptions of corruption, again, Singapore, low.
Number 1, man. We're number 1.
In terms of least corrupt.
Least perceptions of corruption. Number 1. Again, at least something that we're number 1 in. But I did want to ask, because my understanding from reading everything is that this happiness is ranked, like you say, based on a Cantril ladder, right? Which essentially is just a self-reporting thing.
Yeah.
Where they ask you to rate, 10 being the best possible life for you and 0 being the worst. Where do you stand, right?
Yeah.
And that actually gives them the indication of the happiness index. And all the other things that we talked about, like all the other explanatory factors, are that. They are there to possibly explain how Singaporeans rate themselves like that. So, in essence, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is really a self-evaluation, right? Where Singaporeans are saying that this is how happy I am. So it's not about some economist coming in and telling us like this is how happy you feel.
Yeah, correct. It was a survey. It was a survey that Singaporeans responded to. So I mean that is a differentiator. One is like these 6 measures almost like what you said, they try to give reason to the performance of a certain country.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's some statistical thing about like all the correlation and everything that they look into as well, right?
Yeah, correct. So, I mean, like, because it's self-assessed, I mean, that in itself has some bias, right?
Yeah, sure.
Which, I mean, is not perfect, but when done across the world, I'm assuming the biases kind of like accounted for.
Yeah.
But I mean, like there were certain indicators, right? When it comes to donated money, we are 14th, ranked 14th around the world, so high.
Not bad, yeah.
Volunteer time, 32nd. And this is out of 190 plus countries.
Yeah.
Helped a stranger, 35th. Expected wallet returned by a neighbour, 25th. Expected wallet returned by a stranger, 56th. Expected wallet returned by police, 9th, which is among the top 10.
Yeah.
So, if I were to ask you, Terence, if you drop your wallet on the street, do you think, and this assuming it has a identity card with your address on it,
sure,
do you think there is a higher chance you'll get it returned or no?
I have an Apple AirTag in my wallet.
Just answer the damn question.
No, but that answers it. It tells you that I don't think it will be returned.
Oh.
That answers it. Like, I have an Apple AirTag in my wallet just in case I drop it.
Isn't it quite thick?
It is thick, yeah. But you can buy a little card where you insert the AirTag in it, so it's a little. I mean, just a bit more flat, lah. But it allows me to, in that situation, to track it down, because I assume that someone's going to take it and just try and run with it.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely do you think it'll be returned?
I mean, I'm probably close to 0, lah. That's for me.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. I mean, I'm in general, especially living in a city, I generally feel like when you live in a city, these kind of things, very unlikely to get it back, lah.
Oh, is it? I'm a bit more optimistic than you, lah.
Naive. Yeah.
Optimistic, Darren.
A synonym, yeah.
Optimistic.
So the scale, so a scale 0 to 10, how likely?
4 to 5?
4 to 5, okay.
Yeah, 4 to 5.
I mean, maybe it helps that we don't carry around cash that much anymore, right? Maybe with as time goes by, even cards also become less important already, right?
Yeah.
You have Apple Pay and all that.
Yeah.
So maybe over time it will get better.
The sentimentality, maybe, right?
What do you keep in your wallet that's so sentimental and everything?
I mean, like, just the fact that this wallet, I mean, how many things have been with you through so much,
But do you put like picture of your daughter and all that in your wallet?
Oh, my daughter,
it's on your phone,
but
right?
I think,
phone,
but I think with my wife and I, there was one Polaroid we took before. It's inside.
Yeah.
And I want a picture of my dad who's not around anymore inside.
Also, you have put stuff inside.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. Yeah. For me, a wallet is just like for payments. Soulless. Everything's now on the phone, right?
It's true lah, but also because I think I've been using this wallet for quite a while. So the photos I put maybe like 5 years ago, and they're still there lah.
Okay.
But it does feel like it follows the shape of your butt and shit like that.
Maybe that's another thing. I don't put my wallet in my butt anymore. My butt pocket.
Because your fucking AirTag is damn big lah.
Yeah, the AirTag is chunky lah.
It's chunky lah. It's chunky.
So I have resorted. I basically compartmentalized my wallet as just for payment and stuff lah. There's nothing sentimental in it lah.
Okay, maybe not the sentimental part of it, but I think I would still say I would let's say if I would drop my wallet, there's part of me that will feel okay. There's a chance it might be returned.
Yeah.
So okay, then the next question, if it's a neighbour.
Our neighbour, higher chance. Yeah.
Higher chance lah.
Yeah.
But police the highest lah.
Yeah, I think in Singapore, we trust our authorities to do the right thing lah.
A lot
more, right? So I'm not surprised by that. But the funny thing is how globally everyone is probably like me lah, where they're much more pessimistic about getting their wallet back than the actual result lah, right? So I'm closer to what the global average is lah.
Yeah. While living in Singapore.
So
then you're a Debbie Downer lah.
Yeah. I mean,
you are a Debbie Downer.
I would say, I am like, I don't. I will admit, I don't always see the most positive side of humanity.
That's very true.
All the time, lah, right?
Yeah, correct.
And the naivete in some people just like, wow, I cannot take it. I need to bang my head against the wall once in a while.
So that's why I'm in your life, Terrence.
Exactly. It's called the yin and the yang.
The yin and the yang, and the yin and the yang. The yin and the yang. And I mean, conversely, I think maybe last time I used to be even more
naive,
trusting. More trusting.
Naive,
Okay, even more trusting. Now I'm a bit more cynical, but generally still optimistic lah.
Correct. But we have to be, because now we're dads and everything, right?
Yeah.
If you're not optimistic about the future, why are you even having children, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's just a training process that I think even the most cynical people have to go through when they become parents and all.
That's true. I mean, in general, I think in life also, like even starting a business, right? As much as you're cynical you wouldn't have done this if there isn't a shred of optimism in you.
Because the statistics just tell you that it's a damn stupid thing to try to start your own business.
The
failure rate is just so high.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talk here about being optimistic and pessimistic, but at the end of the day, if you step back and look, we are like crazy people for doing what we do.
Right? Correct.
Kind of like, remember when we were talking to Hazel Poy and I was asking her about what would you tell your children about taking risks? And it's a stupid question because she's like, I really take so much risk in my own life.
Well, sometimes it's the flip, right? Sometimes people who take a risk, they will tell their kids, don't do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, don't.
Yeah.
But you got to have some optimism, man.
Correct.
You got to have some optimism.
I mean, but apparently in this year's report, they've found a much larger correlation between believing in the kindness of others with happiness. So if I'm not happy, it's because I'm so pessimistic about people being kind.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, do you think that there's something important that we don't do enough of in Singapore?
About what?
About telling people that generally we can be kind. We can be kind to each other and all.
I mean, over the years, I think I mean, I don't know how it was in the 90s or early 2000s, but over the years, I think people are like more guarded, less trusting, understandably so. But there is this sentiment that, even when people say, oh, Singaporeans are not nice and all, I always feel like really, like generally, I would say people are nice. There'll always be assholes everywhere. There'll always be people who are just having a bad day. So that's what I find weird sometimes. And I think there is also a part of like, if you like, it's very easy to say someone's not nice, but if you start off your interaction already kind of antagonistic, then you can't expect them to be nice, lah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's this sentiment that is like, what we both said, right? This is not surprising because the general air of sentiment in Singapore feels less positive than it used to be. And if that is your starting mindset, then you also kind of see things through that lens, and I think it kind of is a self-fulfilling prophecy like that.
Yeah, I think Singapore, we also suffer from general resting bitch face.
Yeah.
In public, right?
Yeah.
In general, when we go out there, I don't know, maybe it's just part of living in the city.
You don't think it's a Singapore thing?
I think
you don't think it's a global thing?
I think it's a city thing.
Or city thing.
In cities, people generally, we walk around with resting bitch faces. But when we're asked for help by people, I think Singaporeans actually can be quite helpful.
Yeah.
Right? It's just that the initial part of asking for help, Singaporeans are not warm by nature in public, right?
Yeah.
But when you ask for help and you'll be quite surprised that people are very willing to help. And I say this, again, as a dad and stuff, where I've been in situations, oh shit, like something happened to my child, a diaper emergency or something like that.
Yeah.
And I ask for help, and some
people help.
People help. Yeah.
I think what you're also saying is it is anchored in some real world experience, because for a long time we were doing a lot of public videos.
Correct.
Street interviews where we interacted with people, had to approach them cold. Sometimes it's almost they don't know how to deal with some random person asking them. And then now, because we live in a city with such density where you get people trying to sell you stuff. Recently, I saw an article about how there are these aunties waiting outside grocery shops to ask for your Life 365 points or something.
Oh, yeah.
Then, there's a rat race, and I think that makes people guarded.
And scammers also.
And then, now, even hearing my mom was saying she was approached by this person who was trying to get her to sign up for some skills future course.
Yeah.
Where you have to pay a bit, but then I was telling her, Mom, the way these companies operate is that they get the rest of it, the fees, through like rebates. I mean, through like the government almost.
Yeah.
Right. So of course they want to sign you up. And a few days later, there was an article about some not ideal practices by that company. So I think in Singapore there's a scarcity. Like people are just out to just fight. It's when we started YouTube.
Yeah.
That almost feels like we were in the countryside.
Yeah. Almost,
everybody was, hey, you YouTuber, hey, collab. But the moment it became businesses and people's livelihoods, and you realize, oh shit, if the person got that client, that means I cannot get that client. Yeah, you can see people almost transform.
Yeah. I mean, recently we were at an event, right?
Yeah.
And I think we met a couple of people who are working on a TikTok channel where they go around doing street interviews with people.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because you ask them, hey, what do you do? And then they're like, oh, we are street interviewers. It's like a thing, street interviewers.
Yeah.
Whereas for us last time, it was like, oh, it's just another thing that we did on YouTube, right? That we found that we could squeeze some comedy from.
Yeah.
And it was quite funny talking to them because there's obviously a generational divide.
We were uncles. We were uncles.
Yeah, we were uncles, and we were like, hey, so where do you all hang out and interview people? Where's the best place? Where's like the ground zero for you all to get interviews? And this happened to us last time when we were doing street interviews. And it's so tough, right, getting people to talk. And for them, it just felt, I felt like from talking to them, it really felt like it was like this is our identity kind of thing. We're street interviewers, and we have a certain way of doing things and all. And we take it very seriously. Not like us like that, kind of like we're kind of just winging it, right?
Yeah.
And they already had I think they already had clients, and they're working with businesses to specialize in doing street interviews with people. Whereas for us was it really was oh yeah, we want to do some funny street interviews and try and squeeze some comedy from it. But there never was a very easy formula to.
And people used to think everything is scripted,
Yeah.
Whereas now it's so common. But basically what you're saying that is mature enough that it's an industry in of itself. It is no longer like the camaraderie is different.
Correct. So last time when we approached people on the street, asking for interviews, it was quite, I think, a novelty.
Yeah.
Now I think it's like, thanks to a lot of the TikTokers out there, it's become, people
A nuisance, is it?
Huh?
A nuisance, is it?
Possibly bordering on that, but also like you just see it everywhere already. It's no longer that big a deal, right? Like even security, I think they see it. They're not going to chase you and ask you to get lost on it. People do it right outside MRTs.
Yeah.
When at one point you have a camera outside MRT, people look at you like you're a criminal like that.
Yeah, that's
so it's very different.
Yeah. And I mean, but you would think, right, in a country that is as dense as Singapore, we would do well on like another scale, which is sharing meals with others.
Because by default, when you go hawker center, you are sharing meals with a lot of people.
Exactly. Like how many people can say, hey, every day where I eat, within like a 10-meter radius got 50 people.
Yeah, correct.
You would think like you're in a village or something, right? Yeah. But on the converse, I don't think Singapore fares well on that. And that was one of the things that stood out, because apparently that's also one of the big indicators of countries where this is quite apparent. It tends to correlate to higher happiness. Same with, even in Singapore, like one thing they say, living with others, right?
Yeah.
And family bonds, like if people living together, they're happier. But in Singapore, like, everywhere I go, got people and all.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the flip side of these indicators that normally mean you should be happy.
Yeah.
But Singapore is the other way around.
Yeah. You look at Finland, right?
Yeah.
Actually, Finland and Singapore's population size is not very different.
Yeah.
But the size of our countries are very different. Like Finland has a lot more nature.
Yeah.
A lot more, like a real countryside to escape to, right? If you don't want to. Singapore, you have to get out of the country if you want to see countryside.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And because of that, I think we have no choice. We are forced to sort of live in close proximity with our families, with people at the hawker center.
Yeah.
And we end up doing things to chop our own places, right? Like chopping tables and things like that. So it's just not the healthiest behavior, right?
Yeah.
That leads to happiness.
Like you mentioned the countries like Finland. First of all, like I want to clarify this today, the difference between Scandinavian countries and Nordic countries. Like, do you understand the difference?
Yes, generally, but please.
What is the difference?
Nordic is like Norway, right? Finland, like they're further north, right? Yeah.
This is bullshit. What kind of nonsense? The moment you say, please go on, I'm like, wait, I don't think you know.
Okay.
I don't think you know.
Please enlighten us.
So Scandinavia is a specific region in Northern Europe that includes Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. Nordic countries are a group of countries that are located in Northern Europe, which, yes, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, but also Finland and Iceland.
Okay.
Yeah. So Scandinavia, basically, it comes from Scandinavian in Swedish, Norwegian, and Danish, and refers to the ancient lands of the Norse people.
Yep.
So Nordic is just a broader area, because Finland is not a Scandinavian country.
Yeah. No, I think there's a better explanation from AI than what you gave, where Scandinavia is a geographic description of like Norway, Sweden, and Denmark.
Yeah.
Whereas Nordic is a cultural and political region. That includes Finland and Iceland.
In some way, I say Scandinavia specifically refers to a specific region.
I don't know, but one is geography. The other one is cultural, political. Yeah, so it's like ASEAN versus Southeast Asia.
So now you suddenly know everything. 5 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago, you're like, I understand the difference. And it was just, someone asked you what's Nordic countries. Oh yeah, Norway and Sweden. Nonsense, Terence.
But AI, that's actually a pretty good explanation. Google's AI.
As in the search result that came up.
Correct, the search result.
Okay, but I actually read some articles to understand a bit more.
This day and age, like that also need to read article, please lah. And you took the article and put it into AI again.
Don't try and belittle my efforts, okay? I knew that this would be a useful thing to talk about because I had a feeling you would come with this attitude that I understand. I understand, and it's a
good point. It's a good point. It always just comes up, but I don't even think about it that much.
Generally they do share similarities because when you the top 10 of this World Happiness Report, I think the Scandinavian countries are there, but all the Nordic countries are also there. And I think it's worth kind of like thinking about, because yes, Finland is a lot bigger than Singapore, but somewhere on Reddit I also saw someone point out a difference in Finland, which actually is quite eye-opening lah. Because okay, lately, even just today when we're doing research, there's like a spate of traffic accidents, you know, and
in Singapore,
some resulting in deaths and all that.
In Singapore,
in Singapore.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I think maybe some happened a long time ago, but the results of the sentencing have come out in the past few days. You know, like a lot of the times, which I also feel sometimes the sentencing amount doesn't really feel enough for the offense lah.
Yeah.
I think there was one guy who was drunk driving and ended up knocking an auxiliary officer near the Tuas checkpoint and put him into vegetative state for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And he's getting like 3 years.
Yes.
So it feels like, and I think there is a general sentiment of people feeling, how does that make sense? But in Finland, I found out that for speeding tickets and quite a few traffic violations, you pay according to your disposable income. No?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Then I was like, yes, it's easy to say that these Scandinavian countries have, or some Nordic countries have oil reserves and all, which is what sometimes we hear, right? You know, one rhetoric we often hear is like, Singapore is really better than a lot of places out there.
Yeah.
So be grateful.
Yeah.
But then when you look at something like that, to me, that makes a lot of sense. You know, so I think structurally there's a lot that Singapore can change lah, which is why we also do a podcast talking about local news and current affairs. And it's food for thought.
I think, I've also been trawling Reddit a little bit about Finland and all. And some of the things I have been reading that maybe rather than thinking about it as happiness, think about it as contentedness in a place like Finland, where, you know, medical benefits, education and all that are generally taken care of for the entire population. So it comes a point where having a lot more money like doesn't even like improve your life that much more. So in some sense, the inequalities are sort of artificially quashed, right? Where a lot of the basic needs of survival are taken care of already. So when you have a lot of money, it doesn't mean that your life generally like shoots up and you become super happy. But generally, everyone is a lot more contented with what they have already. And so even if you pay high taxes and all that, it doesn't matter so much because even if you have that much more money, so what? But if you just don't feel like you need to constantly upgrade, constantly up everything, upskill, upgrade, you know, to own that GCB, to own that Porsche, to own that Ferrari, all these kind of things, then you will feel more content lah, you know? And in some sense, that's, I think people talk about the poison of inequality in society, right? And you can say, oh yeah, you know, the trickle down effect, rich people, they spend money here is good on them. But at the end of the day, humans, you know, we know that comparison is a thief of joy. And if you see your neighbor driving you drive a Porsche yourself, but you see your neighbor driving a Lamborghini or something, you end up feeling like, hey, I should try to attain for that one day. And you just, by default, not content with what you already have.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, that's true. Like, and I mean, on the flip side of that, right, being content means like what you said, like basically the hierarchy of needs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, right now, as a new parent, part of me is thinking, oh shit, like, and I mean, my insurance also, because of some stupid ass report that some doctor wrote in 2005 has fucked up everything. So you have this at the thought of your, at the back of your mind, like, and it always feels like you're playing catch up. I mean, I don't know how it is in Finland on the ground. We know someone who's Finnish who we've worked with quite a few times.
Who has chosen to live in Singapore.
Then we thought, hey, what the hell are you thinking? And I mean, I'm sure Finland has its issues also because you can pay up to 50 or 60% tax if in the highest income and all. But like, it's pros and cons. But I think it's always important to know that Singapore, we are not perfect. There's a lot that can be improved. Because sometimes it's very easy to be gaslit. You know, you look around and sometimes you hear the politicians or leaders saying we are already a lot better than everywhere else there. But little tweaks, like this fining people based on their disposable income for traffic offences makes a ton of sense.
The perception of fairness, right?
The perception of fairness, because and I mean, it's just interesting. And Singapore, that's why I think maybe you know, all the sentiment you see about sentiment against the incumbent and all, one thing they also put out is that unhappiness leads to populism, which is understandable also. And you're seeing that in a lot of mature societies. And it almost gives a bit more context why someone might want to support Trump and all, because they are unhappy. You know?
Yeah.
So Singapore, slipping down.
But speaking of the US, right? It's at its lowest ever position at 24.
Yeah.
But the quite alarming thing is that they say that the number of people dining alone in the US has increased by like 53% in the last 20 years. So like, I think an average of 1 in 4 people in the US dine alone a lot of the times. Yeah. So, I mean, that can mean a lot of things, right? It can mean the person's homeless or something like that. But it also just means that maybe their culture has become much more like individualistic, right? Like you're working, really crazy hours or shift hours, and you just eat at your desk or eat at wherever you're working and things like that. Which is not based on what they study here, it's not a good thing. Like eating together with other people, even your friends or colleagues, actually is much better for your mental health.
Yeah.
But do you think we'll ever see that those rates of like eating alone in Singapore?
I think possible, man.
Really?
No. I think, okay, so the one thing is that the US, Singapore has that the US doesn't have, is like generally the US, yes, you get pockets of very dense populations, but generally density, I think on average is quite low.
Yeah.
In Singapore, I think it might be possible that we reach that day one day, especially with the aging population. I can imagine for older folks, it's harder to get together to eat.
Yeah.
So I can see 1 in 4 happening. But there is this illusion that you might not be eating alone because you're surrounded by people, but you're still eating alone.
Yeah.
And that is what I feel. I think now the average number of friends also in Singapore has gone down, which everything is kind of counterintuitive for a population that is just growing and in a very tight land space.
Yeah, correct.
So it's almost you feel alone in a place even though you're surrounded by people.
Yeah. And they say I think 19% of young adults across the world reported that they have no one they can count on for social support. So there's they're talking about
1 in 5.
Yeah, 1 in 5 Gen Zs or maybe who, even though they're super connected via social media, they feel that they don't have anyone to count on. It's just quite alarming, I guess, for the future.
Yeah. And I mean, for context, when I looked it up, the amount of people surveyed per country was generally about 1,000, with 100,000 people surveyed across the world. So, I mean, of course, you can argue that, there's 1,000 people who are there and all, but I mean, I think it matches with what people are feeling.
Yeah.
It matches what people are feeling. And like, there are probably a lot of ways to measure happiness, but even in Singapore, I think we have spoken about happiness rankings before. There was one Singapore non-profit that did a happiness report also. So I mean, it's worth thinking about it. And I think when people look at this and think about us slipping, just look inward at your own happiness.
Yeah. Look at what you prioritize. Because at the end of the day also, I mean, ironically, this happiness report kind of makes you compare yourself again with people, right?
And we are lacking.
Why
Taiwan? Why Taiwan number one?
Or like, I wish I was staying somewhere else where I can be happier, that kind of thing. But sometimes a lot of it is to do with your own perceptions, right?
That's true, That's true. The grass is always greener.
But yeah,
man.
Speaking of all that, it kind of ties nicely into our next topic as well, which is of neighborliness or the lack of it in Singapore. This is an issue that it's quite funny that we're talking about it, but I guess it's the zeitgeist, right? Like we mentioned.
Because we spoke about happiness, right?
Yeah.
This one involves a lot of unhappiness.
Yeah. What is this?
But basically, a woman has complained that her male neighbour in Bukit Batok West Avenue 5 often takes out the trash and snoops in the direction of a flat along the corridor only in boxer shorts. And, he walks around shirtless, and apparently whenever he peeks into her unit as seen by her maid, he would pull on his shorts as he walked by his unit, pulling the material snug against his skin. She left that detail. But then he came back and said, that's not true. Or at least he claimed that he didn't deny that he wore boxer shorts. He just took out the trash. But apparently he pointed out that her husband also walked around in boxer shorts.
Yeah.
It's a case of two half-naked men, apparently.
But I guess the great debate is whether wearing boxer shorts around your corridor of your place, is that considered obscene, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's considered obscene, then both sides. I mean, it's a he say, she say thing. But if you don't consider it obscene, then actually what's the big deal?
So Terence, what about for you?
Boxer shorts.
Just boxer shorts outside your home.
Just boxer shorts outside your home.
Along the corridor.
For me, I wouldn't do it. Because I think the moment you show your nips, like that's like there has to be a real reason to show your nips, right?
As a guy,
as a man, yeah. If you're at the pool or that, I think that's just part of it, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're changing, not say changing, but let's say at the beach or something, you're changing, okay lah. But in general, I think it's just you should cover your nips when you can.
Cover your nips.
Cover your nips, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, I'm a bit of a walking Instagram rules and regulations. Please cover your nips.
Cover your nips. Don't show the nipple.
Everything else can cover the nips.
Yeah. Hashtag don't show the nipple. I mean, okay, so I would still also say like a corridor. If you're bare, I'm like, why? Yeah. Because like, okay, there have been a couple of times like I was walking around shirtless in my own home and I needed to take my shoe or something.
Yeah.
Then I just step out and I take my shoe and come back. But walking around, I wouldn't do it with a free nipple.
Yeah.
So, but like, yes, there's a question of like, why are you doing that? But how would you qualify it as like a no-go? I mean, it's not necessarily obscene.
I wouldn't say it's obscene. But I would say like, okay, for a guy, right? Like, if you just walk around, like, wearing your boxers and assuming, like, what she said, that the material is snug against your skin.
He pull until
it's tight, right? I mean, if you just see someone, like, walking towards you, like, wearing that, and you don't see, maybe at the corner of your eye, you see your peripheral vision spots it. It's immediately quite alarming, because you probably, the first thing you think is like, hey, how come there's a naked guy, like, walking towards me or something like that, right? Whether you're a man or woman, I think immediately you're like, that kind of thing. But if it was at a swimming pool or something, it'd be like, oh, it's completely normal, right? Because everyone's walking around shirtless. All the guys are walking around shirtless.
Yeah.
But if it's in a place where you don't expect it to be, it actually can feel like quite shocking and quite threatening.
But then if I wear a tuxedo outside my house, the corridor?
But it's nice. It's like fashion and everything, right? So, because some people say that... Please don't have double standards, because there are women who wear sports bra and wear like Lululemon pants and walk around, and it looks like they spray painted these clothes on that, right? How come they can and then this guy cannot wear boxers, right?
Yeah.
Do you think there's any difference there?
I mean, because the social norm for a woman, like if this guy was wearing a very tight t-shirt and very tight pants, I mean, there's nothing you can fault him, lah.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Correct.
So Lululemon, all that athleisure kind of thing, yes, it's a sports bra and all, but that is kind of already a social norm that you can wear a sports bra and leggings outside. If it's very tight, it shows like certain shapes, then it's a problem with the clothes, lah.
But it's always tight. It's always tight and always shows the shapes. That's the whole point of wearing Lululemon, right?
Yeah. No, because the example is like, even you want to wear bicycle shorts or running tights, right?
Yes, spandex, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's damn tight. You can really see the outline of everything. It doesn't need to be that tight.
Okay.
So, but then I would say you're not wrong to wear that. Just, we can see shit, lah.
Yeah.
So I would say for them, the argument is like, this is also social expectation, right? A part of it is never going to be a full right and wrong. I think it's what the norm is and how much you fray away from it.
Yeah.
Which is why I wouldn't say it's wrong that he's walking around shirtless. It's just a bit like, a bit odd.
Yeah.
Because by extension, right, what do you feel about people who run shirtless?
And that's where, again, like
why the nip, why the
norms, right? I mean, usually they do it and they can say it's because it's very hot, right? Yeah. And it's true, running when you're sweating a lot and then your shirt is soaked and everything, actually is very uncomfortable. It can even cause you nipple abrasion, right? That's the truth.
Yeah.
So it's part of exercising, right? They're doing it out there in the open and everything. But when you wear your boxers and you're just lounging around, walking around, that feels to me like an activity that's reserved more for the home.
So if it's not boxers, you're wearing like running shorts outside,
running shorts.
But you're shirtless in the corridor.
But you're about to go for a run? Or,
no. You're just doing your thing.
Then again, I would say, like cover up a little bit, just for the sake. I mean, not for other adults, but there could be children or something.
But what's wrong with the children? See, it's human nature.
Correct, but children will also, then they'll be questioning certain norms, and how come the uncle can walk around without my shirt, then I must wear my shirt and things like that lah. So in general, I feel like when you take it out of the context of where it's supposed to be, then you got to ask, hey, is this, should I be doing this lah, right?
Yeah.
And I think, again, we talk about Singapore, we live in much closer proximity to each other. I think also it's also worth just being a little bit more considerate of things like that lah.
But that's why, like, the considerate thing, like, I think for me, I wouldn't say it's inconsiderate. It's just odd. Like even running without a shirt, I don't know, that one I always find, like, why are you running without a shirt?
Depends. If you're hot, then if you're very good looking and you're six pack, you run with shirt, people are like, oh, that's good.
Without a shirt, without a shirt.
Yeah. People like, wow,
but even
nice.
then, it's like, yeah, you flex and all. And running without a shirt is actually very comfortable. And I say this because at the beach, I like going for a run along the beach, which is where it's normal, you know? And you do feel like, hey, wow, free, no nipple abrasion and all that. But at the park connector downstairs, like.
So why you don't like it? Why do you not like it?
I don't know. I just something very like, it's just wear a shirt.
Is it because it like turns you on or something when you see or what? How?
No.
Like, then what's so bad about it?
So that's the thing. Like, I just something about it. I'm like, maybe it's like, why? So that's why whenever I see someone run past me without a shirt, right, I'm like,
is it jealousy? Is it jealousy?
I don't think it's jealousy because not everybody has a hot board. Right?
Correct.
I mean, to do that also, you need some level of confidence.
Correct.
You know? So I don't know why. There's just something about it. I'm like, can you just wear a shirt?
I'm okay. I'm totally okay with that lah. Totally okay with that. And I mean, I've also like at times played basketball and then it's very hot and I just take off my shirt lah.
Yeah, I mean last time football also one team take off, one team.
It's totally normal, right?
But that one feels like there's a reason.
There's a reason.
Okay, if it's
but running also a reason.
If it's fucking hot, the sun is beating down. Okay, you want to take off, fine. But
that's every day in Singapore.
No, but sometimes the weather is damn shook. You know,
and you want to enjoy. You want to enjoy the wind against your nipples.
Yeah, so. I don't know. I mean, same way, right? Like for you saying it's inappropriate along the corridor. Why is it inappropriate? Like I would say it's a bit odd. It's not a social norm. Maybe your kid might ask you a few questions, but it's not inappropriate.
But you answered, right? You said that there's a purpose to it. So exercise to me is a purpose. But then if you're just lounging around at home and then you took off all your clothes and you're wearing the one single layer that protects you from everything else, right?
Yeah.
Then, I mean, you should think about putting on another layer.
So then running shorts?
Running shorts.
Yeah.
But again, the same lah. If it's not...
But you're not okay with running shorts.
You're not going to exercise or you're not going to exercise.
If you exercise, then why you don't like spandex? On cyclists?
Spandex, again, I don't like it, but you're wearing it for a purpose lah, right?
Yeah.
To cycle.
So spandex when running?
Spandex
running tights, you know.
Can lah. I mean, you also triathlon also they wear spandex and run, right?
Yeah.
So there's a purpose to it lah. But what I'm saying is that this guy, it sounds like he's just already at home and he's half naked and everything.
But then we say we want kampung spirit, right? This is the kampung spirit, right?
Okay, I guess the question to ask is if a person is if a lady is wearing a bikini walking around and all that, do you think there'll be the same kind of complaints also?
I don't think so.
Don't think so?
I mean, I don't know whether it'll be complaints lah.
Yeah.
But some people might not be happy lah. But it might be maybe another woman who's not happy.
Correct.
As opposed to a member of the opposite sex lah.
Maybe.
So that's why I think there's a big part of like the social norms. I would like to see a survey where all the countries who did this happiness report also answer, what do you feel about like males walking around shirtless in the vicinity of your home and stuff like that lah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be very different across different countries because there's a cultural and social aspect to it lah.
Correct lah. But maybe also because boxers are essentially underwear, right?
Yeah.
So they're the closest to, skid marks and all that gross stuff that goes on after you go to the toilet. It's all on your boxers, right?
Yeah.
And so just seeing it being paraded around, maybe it's just not the most pleasant thing.
I mean, if a woman were to wear like a bra on the street, like looks like a sports bra, it would still raise eyebrows because it feels like it's underwear.
I thought you just said sports bra, okay.
No, but a bra. Bra versus a sports bra.
But now women, they wear bralettes, right? They call it and things like that.
What is it?
It's kind of looks like a bra kind of thing, but it's actually like a top that they wear as well, right? So like that cannot.
It was still, people would still be like, that's a bit odd.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd. It's like when something is odd, right? People will just be like, oh, it's weird. Like if someone were to wear a tuxedo and walk on the streets of Singapore, it'll be odd.
Odd.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't,
But is it
you
wrong?
wouldn't be gross or anything, right? But what I'm saying is that, the boxers are underwear that is your butt sweat and your skid marks and all this kind of thing. And ideally, people don't have to see it, you know.
I mean, you don't have to see the skid mark, lah.
Yeah, you won't see the skid marks. But I'm just saying, just psychologically, knowing that was like the last barrier between your.
So this one, you are team woman or team shirtless?
If it was me, I prefer, if my neighbor was walking around like that, I would like,
You would say something?
Say something if they do it consistently without.
So what would you say? Let's say I'm walking around shirtless, water my plants. Like, hey, Terrence, morning. And then you're going to office and all.
I mean, I guess I would say, maybe, for the children or whatever in the corridor also, right? Can you put on some clothes?
I say I have children also, right? But what's wrong?
They're your children, right? But there are other children that maybe don't want to see it.
But I mean, is it obscene? Am I showing my genitalia or something?
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
But we are trying to educate our children, our kindergarten age children about about what do you call it, barrier or proper boundaries. Yes, the word is boundaries. You're teaching them boundaries about exposure and indecent exposure and things like that. Yeah. So we're trying to explain, let's say to your daughter or whatever, trying to explain that people can't just walk around shirtless in public, lah.
So you say I indecent, is it? Huh?
No, I'm saying they have young minds that their prefrontal cortexes are not developed.
Don't give me all these science terms, okay? Don't give me the science terms. I have kids, they're very happy. All my family members also come. Other neighbors also no problem. Only you got problem.
You don't be uncle, uncle. You damn old school, uncle. This new research tells you that children need to have proper boundaries.
Your dog, every time come by, I think they pee in front of my house. No?
You got evidence? You bring CCTV?
You bring your report, you bring your and that's how people take videos on Stomp.
I mean, then what would you tell that person if you had to tell your neighbor, hey, do you mind just putting on something?
So I don't know, that one would be like
maybe do the very nice thing, buy them a bathrobe or something. I think you look really good if you wore this bathrobe and walked around there.
Or just blame like some old auntie or a mother or something.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to abuse my child. But be like, hey, my mom very uncomfortable or something.
Possible.
Wow, I don't know.
It's touchy because people just they just fall back on that. It's not illegal, so why must I follow, right? Yeah. So it's one of those things, but nothing you can. I don't think the police can do anything either, right?
Yeah,
because it's not technically not obscene.
That'd be an interesting conversation. Would I have a conversation? I don't know. So maybe that's a question for listeners also. If your neighbor, was walking around in his boxers, and this one is it has to be a guy wearing boxers,
Yeah.
Would you say anything? And how would you say it? Like they are super nice. Chinese New Year, they give you like jam tarts. Yeah. They, give you like anything they cook. Wish you happy birthday,
Alternative is you tit for tat, Like they wear the boxer shorts, then you go and wear the borat, the mankini.
Mankini.
You walk around with that for a couple of days.
So it's a race to the bottom. A race to the bottom.
Then you ask, literally a race to the bottom. You ask them, you say, does it feel nice when I walk around your house like that, wearing this in front of your children?
Confirm will sour the relationship already. Confirm.
But then it makes them aware of how people perceive them, right? That's the thing. They say like when sometimes it's just about awareness, people don't realize like how people are seeing them and all that, right?
True, true.
You just need to demonstrate it to them. Yeah.
True. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so that's the hot topics for today, man.
Yeah.
Right. Groundbreaking, monumental. But as always, if you have comments, that would be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I guess anything else to add on about the boxer debacle?
No. Nothing.
Cool.
But cool.
Okay. So, yes. Do you have your one Shiok comment?
Yeah. I think the one Shiok comment was about last episode with that Dr. Janio Putticherry on talking about Singapore's future. And on Reddit, Internet Lurkers said, I don't yeah, I don't know about this one. He says, I don't think the questions from us are necessarily bad. And he doesn't disagree with a lot of stuff that Janin Putticherry says. But he or she does hope that bringing on a youth volunteer who is currently chairing PAYM might be a better fit for the discussion. Getting someone else to speak on behalf of youth volunteers might have diluted the initiative a bit. So, thanks for the feedback. I think it's interesting to hear how our hardcore listeners also reacted to the episode, right? Yeah. So, it's always good to hear how people actually that give us their honest views in a very polite way of what they think about every episode also. Yeah.
Cool. My one Shiok comment was like a specific category of comments that were coming a lot on the episode with the MPS for the MPS kerfuffle with Shamugam about how come it seems like the video was re-uploaded. And I mean, like, that's what there was a technical issue where there was a piece of a repeated footage that came out in the video that we had to re-upload, I think 4 hours later. And I mean, I was kind of heartened that so many people are kind of, consuming our content that fast and paying enough attention to notice the re-upload. Of course, we did clarify that it was only because of that. Of course, we had some people claim that, Shan's team contacted you and you all scrubbed the thing. No, it is exactly the same conversation. It just had a repeated segment. But I mean, it's still my one Shiok comments because feels like we are filling a gap and people are watching us almost with anticipation which is nice to know it's nice to know. Of course, the comments that were accusing us of shaping the narrative is definitely nothing was taken up. But that is my one Shiok comment.
Correct. We're trying especially this election season, right? We are very, very careful about how everything that we do goes out there. And what people are saying about it also.
Yeah, exactly. What about your one Shiok thing, man?
My one Shiok thing is actually a recent event when the 2 American astronauts who were stranded on the International Space Station were brought back to Earth via a SpaceX shuttle that picked them up. And it's interesting because there's a few elements to this. You can watch the actual dock taking off from the space station. There's actually really clear footage of it, and it looks like it's from a sci-fi movie. And the really cool part is when the Dragon capsule, SpaceX Dragon capsule, actually enters Earth's atmosphere, and then the parachutes deploy, and then you see it slowly come down and then plunge into the ocean. I think they flew a drone to the location so you can watch the footage in 4K. It looks amazing, super beautiful and out of a documentary and everything. So this is all nice and cool, right? But it's all interesting also because I think it kicked up another layer of debate online. The fact that Elon Musk's SpaceX is doing such amazing things for humanity, rescuing 2 astronauts stranded in space back to Earth, and such amazing science and everything that goes on behind it. But at the same time, this guy is he's also seen as the architect of right-wing extremism in Singapore right now, right? Not Singapore, in the world right now. So sorry, that was my phone. In the world right now. So there's this debate, is Elon Musk good for humanity or is he bad? And it's quite interesting because he goes on Fox News, Sean Hannity's show, and Sean Hannity interviews him about it. And they talk about the science of everything that we just saw, right? And I mean, whatever it is, the science part of it is amazing, right? And when he talks about it, I'm like, wow, this guy is shit, man, the stuff he's doing. But then after that, they talk about how Biden didn't want to help and all this kind of thing, and more President Trump is the best and all. Then that's why, I'm reminded of this is the last 2 years, what shit he's done also. So it was just a very interesting feeling watching this whole turn of events.
And you can see people just clapping angrily.
What can you say? I mean, you fucking brought 2 humans back from space, man.
I mean, SpaceX, the shit they're doing is insane. When you look back, 10 years?
Yeah.
And now it almost feels like it's another exciting frontier again. Because incidentally, my one Shiok thing is also space related.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And it is a discovery by astronomers that were using the ALMA telescope, which is a telescope in Chile's Atacama Desert, that found out that actually the universe, right? Because everything you hear, there was a Big Bang and then the universe expanded, and many years later, heavier elements like, oxygen and all started forming.
Yep.
Apparently, they managed to see the the most distant known galaxy, and apparently, just 300 million years after the Big Bang, it was full of like oxygen and heavier elements, which is one of the precursors for what we see as life. And in their words, it's like finding an adolescent when you would only expect babies. So basically, it debunks the thing that there were billions of years that passed before these heavier elements started forming, and because they normally form only after a star collapses.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh shit, this is cool. And the light, right, from what they're seeing, it took 13.4 billion years to reach Earth.
Wow.
Which means that what they are seeing now is almost like going back in time, because it is what happened 300 million years ago back there.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And like when you were young, did you also like space?
Yeah.
Space stuff.
Yeah.
I guess every young person, they just love space.
Yeah.
I think.
But yeah, understanding the scale of
It's
time
insane.
and space is something that really is. I think like reading the
Three body
problem and all that. Like I think the author talks about that. Like he's not the biggest mathematician or scientist ever, but he seems to have a very firm grasp of like the scale of time and space that allow him to write such a story. And it always boggles my mind when I even try and think about it.
I mean, I'm sure you've seen one of those videos where it starts off like a Google Map shot of your house, and then it zooms out.
Yeah.
And then it goes, and you realize, holy shit.
Yeah, how tiny we are.
But yeah, space, man.
Space.
And thanks to SpaceX, at some point, it might become more accessible.
Yeah. I think now they're talking about balloons. Balloons bringing consumers or tourists to the edge of space.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. But I'm just trying to imagine, like, wow, what if that balloon snaps or something?
See, there's the pessimist in you.
Pessimist, yeah.
But
the realist.
The realist. So that's it for today. Thank you all so much for listening. So remember, if you enjoyed it, please share it with at least one other person who may not have heard of us.
Yeah.
Follow us on social media. Engage on Reddit. And if you want to work with us,
please email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com or just check out ministryoffunny.com. So that was the end of the omakase, man.
Yeah, the omakase. Now you can move on to dessert somewhere else. Omakase normally got dessert?
Yeah, have.
Oh, God. Okay. So go home and have a good nap.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you all soon.